Welcome to our channel's first interview ever. For this interview, we're truly honored to have Marios Eliopoulos, a legendary guitarist and musician, founder and lead of the amazing melodic death metal band from Greece, Night Rage. Marios is an extremely talented and experienced metal musician, having worked alongside legendary producers such as Fredrik Nordstrom, Jacob Hansen, Daniel Bergstrom, just to name a few of the legends this veteran has worked with. But he has also worked with equally legendary artists, including Thomas Lindberg, Mikael Stane, Jesper Stromblad, Gas G, once again, just to name a few of the great names this legendary musician has stood next to and worked with. But most importantly, perhaps, Marios is a humble, approachable, extremely disciplined professional who has been part of the melodic death metal genre's evolution, active both in Greece as well as in the genre's birthplace, Sweden. But enough talking on my part, let's get on with the interview. You said specifically that, Iron Maiden got you started, which is funny because I kind of have a similar story. Because actually, for me, it was Clairvoyant, like the song Clairvoyant, which is from not Peace of Mind, from Seventh Son. But so I have to say that when listening to Night Rage, right, I definitely detect the influence there because you guys have some very brutally heavy music, but you also have a lot of melodies in there. Like, harmonies between guitars and those melodic leads that, I personally am a sucker for those kinds of things. So would you say that up to this day, this is the main influence when it comes to those melodic leads? Or would you say that through the years it evolved and there were many factors that helped shape the sound?
I mean, I never forget the feeling that I got when I actually first hear these Maiden tunes. And actually, it was Thin Lizzy also. Thin Lizzy got to get this kind of sound, the harmonies on the guitars and the melodic hooks. But it was Maiden that make it into the metal territory. Maiden made it more metal and more hooky. I don't know, but still, this is the source for me. This is where I still get inspired, actually, from that sound. And of course, there's music change, and there's a lot of cool newer bands that they're doing more stuff. But I think I'm a kind of an old school guy. I still get back to my older albums, like I said before, and this is where I draw my inspiration mostly.
No, absolutely makes sense. So, what was your first guitar?
Well, that's a good question, man. I remember it was a classical guitar. My dad bring home. I remember. So it was not kind of a cheap guitar, and I tried to learn the first chords and stuff like that. I still actually have this guitar here after so many years.
Wow, that's crazy.
But my first guitar was a classical, nylon string guitar. And then I really wanted to move to go to the electric, because that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to play chords and heavy distortion, stuff like that. So I think it was, I don't remember the electric, the first electric probably was a kind of a Gibson Les Paul. Not actually a Gibson, but some other brand, I don't really remember. But I was always, I always loved Gibson guitars, of course, because of, Metallica and Iron Maiden, Michael Schenker, all these great musicians. So that actually was my first guitar, a classical nylon string, if you can believe it.
Drew is a huge Gibson guy here. He loves Gibsons.
I love them too, man. Amazing instruments. Wow. Always when I play with a Gibson, I feel it's kind of different. Something is so cool about Gibson guitars. The tone and the feel and the sound you get from them. It's always something cool about them. Gibson and Marshall, those two together. It's where metal started. The metal sound started from these two products actually. So.
See, it's funny for me. It's been, a Maiden guy, right? I mean, you're a Maiden guy too, but I always had the Strat thing in my head. It's like Strats are where I got started. But definitely you can't deny the influence Gibson and Les Paul had in metal and of course rock. There is no doubt about it. Right now you're an ESP endorsed player, you're an ESP artist, but you have an LP style, the Eclipse pretty much style of guitar. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the true. Many years now with ESP. I play with this ESP Eclipse. It's kind of reminded of Les Paul shape,
Yeah.
Very cool guitar with Seymour Duncan Blackouts pickups or Seymour Duncan passive. The ones I said Duncan's Blackouts are active pickups. But this guitar, for me, it's my ultimate guitar. I have it here. It's here.
Yeah, it looks like
always going back to this guitar because I really like the tone and it's my favorite instrument so far.
Makes sense. Out of curiosity, have you played around with other shapes? Have you ever picked up any of the other ESPs? And
what
keeps bringing you back to the Eclipse? What is it that keeps you drawn to that shape?
Because Eclipse reminds me of Les Paul shape. That's why. One of the reasons is that. But of course, recently now I got a different shape. I tried different, like a Strat style also. I tried once. Now I got the new shape, I don't remember exactly the name now. It doesn't come to my mind right now. But yeah, I tried different shapes and stuff, but I always coming back to Eclipse or my LTD, That is also similar to the Les Paul shape, for a reason. Maybe because of my love of Gibson guitars, probably. Because
Makes sense.
even though I play with ESP, my mind goes back to Gibson for somehow. I don't know, but
makes sense. Have you ever thought about maybe having a floating bridge, like a Floyd or anything like that on the Eclipse?
Yeah, I thought about it because I really love Dimebag Darrell. He's an amazing player, and he's playing a lot with a tremolo bar. But that was never was my thing, to be honest with you. I always play with these, guitars without tremolos because I use vibrato and stuff like that. So my style is more mainly in that kind of playing. But of course, it's a different world. If you play with a guitar with a tremolo bar, all of a sudden you're in the beginner mode because you need to start to learn all the tricks and all that stuff. So I never got interested actually in that kind of tremolo bar guitars. But of course, it's an amazing tool actually to have in your guitar playing. But so far I'm happy with my, non-tremolo guitars.
Well, I mean, it definitely hasn't stopped you from shredding like a god. So yeah,
Yeah.
I was just curious how growing up in Greece has influenced your guitar playing.
Yeah, it was a lot of cool guitar players around me actually that influenced me. Watching them playing, and then it was like I said, the video tapes, or it was the albums, the bands, the live shows. Huge inspiration for me because I think this is where a musician should go. He shouldn't go to the school because music I think, in my opinion, music should be learned in the street, not in the school, because it's actually a way of living. And you have to go to the shows, you have to surround yourself with better musicians than you, play with them, learn from them, stuff like that. Going to see a cool band, watching a cool show, stuff like that makes you, more interested and you're more in, you have a great connection with music when you do stuff like that. Instead of going to the school, of course, music theory is cool. It's a cool thing to know. I know some music theory, and of course, it helped me to, learn about music. But I think music is inside of you, of course. First things. So you need to experience all these different territories and go to the shows and listen to the music and feel the music inside of you. And that's why you can become, a songwriter or a musician. It's all about loving the stuff you do. It's all about passion and love for the music. that's my inspiration, and that's my drive all the time. Is the huge amount of passion and love I have for the music, and that's all you need if you wanna, keep carry on with your music and learning and never stop learning and creating cool songs and surround yourself with cool people.
Was there a good local scene where you were from for the metal scene there?
Definitely, in my hometown Thessaloniki was really some really cool bands. Back in the day, I remember that we always looking up to them. My younger self, I remember watching this Northwind band. From my hometown Thessaloniki. It was another band from Athens called Spitfire. I actually recorded an album in '86. Probably one of the first metal albums recorded in Greece. Really good band, really good sound they got back then. And of course it was Northwind, a band from Thessaloniki. Amazing band, legendary band. There was a lot of cool bands back then that they got inspired me. And then of course was the foreign bands, like I said, all the bands that we grew up with, like Metallica and Maiden and Testament and Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne, and the name is, you name it. It's all that stuff. But I think if you really love music, you always find a way to, surround yourself with good people around you and, learn from them, actually.
Absolutely. Were you privy to the Florida death metal scene growing up as well?
Definitely, it was one of my favorite scenes, like bands like Obituary and Morbid Angel and Death, of course, Chuck Schuldiner and all these bands, man. Atheist, I see they're still playing now, They actually did a tour in Australia now. All these bands were a huge influence for me. Of course, the Swedish death metal, the 80s metal sound, the hard rock sound of the maybe 70s, 80s, like Team Easy and all these bands. All that stuff, it's a huge inspiration for me, because I'm a sucker for a good song. I'm looking always for a good song. Maybe sometimes it doesn't matter if coming from metal. Maybe coming from another source, like a pop or whatever source can come. As long as it's a good song, that my ears like it, I'm getting, inspired by it, to be honest.
Since you mentioned, melodic death metal, I mean, Nitrates is definitely melodic death metal. At the same time, you do have your own signature sound. It is an evolution of that, I guess. And you can tell that, from album to album, there are some definitive changes, at least in my opinion. And, some of your albums are a little bit heavier and more brutal. Some, like the latest one, are a little bit more melodic, but they're still all, kind of following that brutally heavy melodic style. Would you say that the Gothenburg sound, and I know that you have actually actively participated in that scene as well, would you say that played a huge influence in shaping up Nitrage's sound and, of course, your personal guitar playing and compositional style?
For sure, because I also lived in Sweden for 13 and a half years. I remember moved permanently in 2000 just in order to, start with Nitrates, getting a better future for the band and all that stuff. So definitely I was a huge fan of At the Gates. And I don't know why this happened, but Thomas Lindberg sang on the first two Nitrates albums. I don't know. Still, I don't understand how that happened, but it happened for a reason. Because I was looking around, I was I was ready to do everything in order to make Nitrates, at least record that first album, Sweet Vengeance. So I went to, I moved permanently in Sweden at that time, like I said, and I think we are influenced by this genre of metal, but not only that. I think Nitrates is in my opinion, has a more personal sound because it's the touch and the feel and the way we play the harmonies and the guitar riffs and maybe the arrangements. I think we're trying to do something more personal. Of course, like I said before, all these influences I mentioned before are are in the nitrate sound, like not only the melodic death metal sound of Sweden, but of course the brutal death metal or the black metal sound or whatever sound is coming into our influences, because we are trying to be open-minded when it comes to songwriting, try to put a lot of different influences, as long as we like the song, and as long as the ideas we have down are damn good, we're going for it. So but answering your question, yes, we are definitely influenced by the Swedish melodic death metal sound, for sure.
And yet you have your very own signature sound and your very own twist to it. So it definitely sets you apart. It's not like, oh, okay, here's another melodic death metal band. Not at all. Actually, I've been floored with, after all, you do have 10 albums, right?
10 albums.
You have released 10 albums. That's quite a long history, and it takes a lot of skill to be able to release, 10 albums. So how would you say your sound evolved from the very first album all the way to the last one, which was released in 2024?
Yeah, it evolved in still it's a lot. It's so many albums, like you said, 10 albums. Wow. But how can you be, fresh sounding in the next album? Because it's a challenge always. But I think for a reason, because maybe of my crazy passion for music, love for that sound, it always comes in the end. It's things that the inspiration always comes to us, writing songs and all that stuff. But it's also my crocodile tenacity to not let go of this, because I really love to do that. This is my great passion in life, to try to be a better songwriter. Because for me, that's the best thing you can do as a musician, to try to be a good songwriter, write some good songs. Not be the fastest or a more skilled player, but for me the hardest thing is to be able to be a good songwriter, and that's what I always try to do with Nitrates. And from album to album, we try to find new ways to sound more fresh, not repeating ourselves, because that's also another trap you can end up, repeating yourself. Trying to find also some ways to sound fresh and more innovative, in a way. So far, so good. Let's see what happens with the next album. Still, I have right now, as we speak, I have written 60 riffs, new riffs. I'm very inspired right now, as we speak. So about the new, next, for the forthcoming album. So let's see what happens with that.
No, absolutely. But, still, Remains of a Dead World is a freshly released album. I mean, sure, we're in 2025. It was released in 2024, but it's still, a very fresh album and, very, very well produced, as we saw. Very clean sound. Like the production is top quality, the composition is top quality, everything is, the delivery is top quality. And, based on stuff that I read online, because my personal opinion is that you have remained consistent through the years. So I feel like the quality Nitrates produced was top notch from the beginning. But a lot of people online seem to believe that the latest album is like possibly your best. Do you agree with that assessment or not necessarily?
Well, I really love the last album because of a lot of reasons. First of all, it's the first album that we released, recorded, mixed, and mastered entirely in Greece. Because back in the day, we used to record in foreign studios like Fredman Studio in Sweden, or Jacob Hansen Studio in Denmark, or Daniel Bergster Studio. So this is the first time, and thanks to my great friend and now drummer of the band, Fotis Bernardo, we recorded, mixed, and our friend also George Narangis, he mastered the album in Greece. So it was a great collaboration, and I think it ended up really well. I'm very, very pleased with the sound and the songs. Fotis is an amazing producer and amazing musician. He helped us with arrangements, recording, all that stuff. So I think it was a really nice, a really nice vibe in the studio. That also helped. And also, I can tell you another thing, like a really nice communication because of the language, Sometimes when you speak in the same language, there's no language barriers anymore. So you tend to, going a little bit faster, things going a little bit faster. So I really love that. So I'm looking forward to the next one. Let's see what happens, because not right now we're looking for a new label with Nitrate. So let's see what happens, what kind of deal or label or it's going to be. So probably we're going to do it with Fotis once again, the next one. But right now we are in the songwriting process. Early, very early stage right now.
Can you walk us through your typical, I guess, not only recording, but also compositional session, especially for the last album, since that's the most recent? So what would the day-to-day production, or better said, let's take it from the start, right? How would you compose music for this album? And then after we cover that, then we can go into the actual production. So what was your compositional routine when it comes to the last album?
Last album, yeah, very good question, actually. First of all, I start with a song title. I know it sounds a little bit strange, but that's give me an inspiration when I see a song title that I really like, some phrase like something I heard on the internet or in a movie or whatever. I got inspired from that. Oh man, this is really hooky. So I got this song title, and from that song title, I start to making some riffs. And from these riffs and the song title, eventually we having started to having a song with guitars in my Studio One from Presonus, my demo program. Actually, I record guitars and drums and some bass, and that's actually the first early stage of a demo that we have. It sounds pretty good, actually. It doesn't sound like. I remember back in the day, we didn't have that luxury to have that. Now you can sit home and you can do all that stuff without any problem. But this is my my technique. Let's say I'm doing this very, very good demos. Then we're going to collaborate with maybe the guitar player or the drummer or whatever. Then we have a song. Of course, we need to put the lyrics, to write some lyrics and put in the vocals, and that's pretty much it, And if it's an idea you like from the beginning, I think it's not gonna change too much in the end, If it's something that you really like, then you keep it like that. But this is pretty much all that stuff we do about the songs,
So during that stage, that you still, come up with the ideas before you share them with the band and you record at home through Presonus Studio One, which oddly enough, that's what I favor too. What kind of signal chain do you use? What kind of gear do you use to record your ideas? At home, at least.
Yeah, like I said, I use Studio One 7 now, the new version actually, and I have my Presonus Studio 24C sound card. Only 2 channels. I don't need more. I just need to record guitar or bass. Maybe sometimes I do vocals. Some vocals. I'm not a vocalist, of course, but sometimes you need to get inspired to go to the next one. So that's pretty much my. And of course, I use my guitar, and I have here my. This is actually what I use for recording guitar. I don't like plugins. I just want to be I'm a kind of an old school guy, so I still playing with this. Preamp from AMT Electronics. Sounds really good. This is a Russian company actually that steals sounds from very, very well-known brands like Marshall and Orange and PV, blah blah blah. All these big companies, but they're actually doing a really good job, capturing the sound in this small pedal. So that's my very, very easy setup, for beginners, let's say, But it doesn't matter. I mean. This is all tools. What matters is the inspiration and the ideas you have. That's what matters. For me at least, I think you need to have something good in your hands, and then you can, of course, record it in the luxury of your home.
No, yeah, absolutely, and I appreciate you saying that, because a lot of people think out there that I have to have the best gear or the most expensive gear, whatever, and they break the bank. And then they still sound kind of like crap, Whereas
you can actually use this as your recording. This is actually my also ideal recording tool. Like I video myself, Plus, actually, I record all the different riffs, so I can also see what I'm playing. So this is the first step for me. This is the phone. So
Nice.
younger bands or younger musicians, they still don't understand how, in what kind of cool age they live right now, because they have all these tools that can do whatever they want. Imagine ourselves 25 years, 30 years ago. We didn't have any of that. There's no internet. There's no cell phones. There's no DAWs. We have to remember everything we are recording. We didn't have a clue what is recording, actually. We were so naive back then. But imagine the younger generation right now, that they have these amazing tools, man. They can do whatever they want. They just put a song and then put it on Facebook or YouTube, and they are rock stars.
Oh yeah.
It's that easy nowadays, to expose yourself. Actually, it's not the tools; it's the creativity you have, the ideas. This is what matters for me, at least, and I think a lot of people can agree with that. Like, it's the ideas you have down. Doesn't matter how you record it. You can record it with your phone, or you can record it with, a mic that costs $5 or something. Doesn't matter. It's about the idea you have and the concept and the creativity you put it behind that. So this is where all musicians, I think, should put their focus on, about the creativity and the ideas, the big picture. This is what you should always aim for. I think so.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And, I feel like that's true even to this day, that we have all those tools, as you said, and everybody has access to so many different things nowadays, both for learning and for producing. It's still about remembering what the foundation is, right?
Yeah,
which is the music itself.
The music itself, exactly. We shouldn't forget about that. That the music is the most important thing,
So once you have recorded that great music of yours at home and you're ready to share with the band, how does that process look like in the studio? So walk us through that.
Yeah, in the studio, pretty much everything is done, so we know what to do. Everybody coming with knowing the parts really, really well, So we are getting the actually guidance from the producer. In that album, Remains of a Dead World, Fotis was a great guidance for everything we record, like drums and guitars and bass, vocals. So he guided us through his ideas, how to do this. We changed that part, and we listen to him, because I'm used to listen to the producers. I remember in the first album, Sweet Vengeance, when Fredrik Nordstrom came into the picture, I had longer songs, longer titles, and he cut everything down, slimmed down, and I was feeling bad back in the day, my songs. You shouldn't, you should listen to someone that knows better than you. Now realize how wrong I was back then. Of course, now makes sense, because he trimmed the part. He make it more hooky. He trimmed the song title. He make it more, readable. Or he did that, and he did some changes here and there. So I think a good producer is always a key for a good recording or a good album. Someone that knows what he's doing and has some experience, like, of course, Fredrik and now Fotis came into the picture, and you should listen to your producer. Not all the time, but you should listen to him and filter his ideas. Listen to them and, trying to filter them. And then you realize, makes sense. Of course, I should change this part. And you shouldn't be too emotional about your parts. Anyways, it's just parts. Some parts doesn't work and some parts work. So you should be ready for everything when it comes to recording an album.
Yeah, that's a definitely very mature approach, and you see it in all aspects of life, right? Like, it's always good to be able to listen to someone that might have some opinion that differs from yours, but in the end, you end up benefiting from that. And it's very refreshing to hear you say that, because, I feel like a lot of musicians feel very fixed on their vision, you know what I mean? And sometimes I want to listen to people that might perhaps have some good advice. So it's extremely, I feel, perhaps rare is the word I'm looking for, to have someone that's as skilled as you are, and at the same time as disciplined, to be able to recognize when the advice they're given is good.
Of course.
So that speaks volumes about you both as a musician, as a person, and of course as a professional.
And not letting something like ego get in the way of your finished product of what you're trying to put out there. So yeah.
Sure, you need actually to put your ego in the door before you enter the studio and be open in ideas and propositions and changes and all that stuff. So I think it's all for the better for your band. Your band is gonna sound better if you work with someone that he knows what he's doing and he's a good producer and he's gonna put the songs where they belong and actually he's gonna lift them up in a way.
No, that
So
makes sense.
I learned that lesson really well from the early stages of Nitrate. So that actually helped me, I think, to make better albums in the end of the day, just by listening to the other people.
So let me ask you this, because again, you guys released 10 albums. That's quite a lengthy history. There's definitely a lot of experience to be found in that. What would you say was the biggest challenge throughout all those years when trying to produce an album, both not only from a musical perspective, but also from, I guess, from a professional perspective, working with other people, challenges that might be imposed to you perhaps by record labels or outside circumstances? Like, what would you say are the, I guess, top 3 biggest challenges to be able to sustain, the band for so long?
Well, I can tell you one thing, that I'm a survivor. I survived a lot of different, struggles so far. So in order to be here now talking to you and telling you that we have 10 albums, I've been through a lot, through a lot of different, struggles. But, in a way, like I said, my crazy passion and my crazy, love for the music always guide me to find a way to make it work. Through different labels, through different musicians, different studios, whatever. But it was always, I have a goal. I have actually a specific goal in my mind, and I know what I want. And that's very, very, key thing to know in an early stage from your musical standpoint. You need to know what you're doing, and you need to know what you want to do with your music. To have a specific goal is very important. So for a reason, I had always this goal, this light. I always call it the light at the end of the tunnel. I always look at it, and always trying to reach that light. So for me, Nitrate is a survivor band. From what I can see, talking about this now, thinking about this now, yes, we are survivors. I can tell you that.
And what would you say were the challenges that you had to survive through that, that almost came close perhaps to maybe, messing up your dream, your vision of the band?
Label changes, lineup changes, a lot of that stuff, money issues, survival, personal issues, all that stuff, it goes in between. So you need to be a really strong person, I think, to being able to, follow your dreams in music. You need to be a really, really strong person and, make a thick skin maybe a little bit sometimes. Bad reviews can make you feel bad or some stuff like that, negative stuff. But you need to grow a thick skin, how you say it, like, and don't and challenge yourself, always to head up high,
Would you say that those struggles, at the same time kind of helped you write better music though?
In a way, yes, because for me, when I always had a bad time, like having no money, living away from my family, from my country, from backstabbing friends and bad blood, all that kind of shit that can happen to everybody. That makes me always write great music for a reason. I don't know why. If I was too happy, I don't know if I would write this kind of poisonous lyrics back then. Because I had a lot of also personal issues. Stuff that I have to get through. But always these times, always these moments make me, in a way, translate it to the music I was playing and the lyrics I was writing.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people actually was very overwhelmed from the first album lyrics, like, because I was very back then I was very maybe not miserable, but I was very angry with some situation that happened in my life. So I wanted to write about this stuff, and all of a sudden that translated into the music and the lyrics and all that stuff. So it's a great inspirational thing to have. I know it sounds weird, but sometimes it works for the music we are writing. Like, you need to, express that anger and all these emotions into the music. So that's what happened actually with Night Rage.
So on that, how would you, because listening to your stuff, you have a good job of balancing that aggression with the melody. How do you do that when you're in situations like that?
Yeah, it's this is the yin and yang of our music, because we always try to write brutal riffs, and of course we want to balance it with melodies and harmonies. So this is like our thing. We try always to combine these two elements together and make a great song and then make great melody, something that people maybe can remember. So a great hook line, a nice lyric line. Some people can easily going back and listen to it again. So that comes from life experiences, like I said before. All that stuff is coming from, I can tell you for sure, 100%, this is coming from bad life experiences sometimes. At least for me, in my personal journey so far in the music.
No, I mean, it's kind of ironic, because the stuff that kind of messes with you in life, right, is also the source of inspiration and fuels you to write some really powerful stuff. Because, emotionally, you can tell the music is charged. I mean, just from the opening track already, and I think that goes for all your albums, to be honest. All your albums have a very powerful, as you said, there's a hook there, and they all have very powerful, memorable melodies. So from the first 5 seconds, you're hooked onto it. It digs deep in your soul. So you can tell that this is not just music written just to be written and, just to fulfill some kind of contract obligation, but it's like music that you actually mean.
You need something to say when you are writing music. You need something to say and deliver. So you need to do that. It's not about only writing the music. It's about ask yourself questions and try to answer them. And in a way, music helps you doing that. It's the language that you can speak. Actually, music is that tool that gives you that inspiration to write, to talk about it. It's the lyrics and the music you are writing. It's the unspoken language, maybe. Or the language that everybody understands, without even speaking the same language. Everybody understands music. It doesn't matter what from where they're coming from. This is an international language, music, I think.
No, 100%. I agree. Do you feel, though, that, in the modern times, in the present situation, with social media and all that, people trying to get attention by being perhaps more technical or trying to copy other styles, do you feel like some of that music language is somewhat lost? Like, at the same time, there is an opportunity for it to be expressed perhaps easier than it used to be. Yes. But at the same time, there's I guess a saturation where people maybe miss the point of writing music and they just, try to just be some kind of social media sensation. Is that something that you also feel like it's happening, or you feel like, nah, that's not a problem right now?
For me, personally, it's not a problem. I think everybody has the need and the ability. Everybody needs to, play music. I think that's a cool thing to do. That everybody now actually has the ability to do that. But of course, when it comes to answering your question, for me, it doesn't really matter. I always try to, like I said before, for a reason, I'm always trying to back to my older albums when I try to listen to music. Of course, I like a lot of newer bands and appreciate what they're doing because it's really amazing. If you go to, for an instance, to Instagram or TikTok, you see some amazing players playing at their home. You know, some leagues, or you see a band. And recently, I saw a band from India playing on American Talent. You know, and they were amazing. You know, I didn't know this band, so. That's so cool that we actually, and you know, we learning about bands that we never been able to listen back in the day, you know. So this is a very cool thing, and yeah, actually everybody has for me, everybody should play music and express themselves. That's for me, it's a good thing, and I like that. But of course, there can be some. Not everybody can deliver quality music. Not everybody can be Queen or Metallica, or, you know, because this is the only bands that, there's like 10, 20 bands in the history of metal that have this amazing musicianship, or, you know, it's like that. So that's why, for me, I always get back to the roots, you know, when I'm listening to music, because I respect these older bands a lot, you know. And of course, I appreciate the newer ones. I'm not saying that the new music is not good. Of course it is. But for a reason, I'm always getting back. I'm an old school guy, like I said before.
I do feel myself kind of like an old school guy, you know, especially when we talk amongst ourselves. You're an old school guy, too.
For sure.
I mean, you know, that guy worships Kiss among all the other bands, of course, that he does.
I mean, the band that you're wearing, the shirt you're wearing, this band is really cool. I like their attitude. These fighting bears and all that stuff. Yeah, that's a cool thing.
And I think they need a frontman like that in the scene nowadays too. Someone who's like eccentric like that too. So
yeah, I like that. It's entertaining. Yeah. I mean, music is also entertainment. You need to find new ways, and this guy find his way. I guess.
For sure.
But back then was, as you said, it was very hard to find, you know, new music, and of course, even here in the United States, right? It wasn't the easiest thing to go and find, you know. Music, as Mario said, from India. Suddenly, you know, there's a metal band from India, and they're ripping, you know.
Gilles and the Chronicles, I remember now. That's the name of the band. Check it out. Amazing singer. He sounds like Dio, even better. You know, really cool singer. Really good. I like him. Yes.
Yeah, so you see technology at the same time kind of exposes us to things that otherwise we would never be able to.
That's the one silver lining, I think, in like the technological boom, and, you know, getting away from going to the CD store and kind of discovering things there for the first time and bringing that CD with you and living that CD, the album, it becoming, you know, a part of you, maybe like a specific time that, you know, you could reflect on. But that kind of went away, but now we have the discovery that I think is really good that we're exposed to. So it's kind of that trade-off.
You know, the situation, like you said, the situation changed, but the passion stays, you know? It's not about how you find something, it's about how you react to it, the passion you put behind it. So the situation changed, of course, but the passion for the music stays.
You guys have an amazing production quality at the last album. You know, I feel like it's top notch, you know. And of course, you gave already tons of credit to Fotis for it, but maybe you could walk us through some of the processes, or better said, some of the gear that you guys used in the studio, especially for the guitar sound, since, you know, guitar and bass is what we mostly try to focus here on. But still, you know, even vocals, if you want to share, you know, like types of microphones, amps, cabs, whatever you guys used.
Fotis has this amazing studio in Athens, Deva Sound Studios, it's called. And he's actually recording a lot of cool bands like Suicidal Angels and Roaring Christ, and Saki Stolis, the guy from Roaring Christ personal band, a lot of different cool bands. And also that was a cool thing for me to see, like, because I know Fotis is a great friend of mine. And at the time, he wasn't a member still in the band. He used to be 20 years ago. And we had a talk, and, you know, actually I decided I want to work with Fotis. And I went to his studio, and the way he works, I think he has a very many different amps. Like he has a Mesa Boogie and he has a PV, mainly angle amps. So he make a mixture of different sounds, really good sounds. I think he's working really, really good with guitar sound and the drums, of course. Everything he does is top notch because he's a metal guy. He knows the sound. He follows the every different recording that every different band is coming out, and I think he's doing a really great work. He's very skilled, very talented guy. So I was very from the beginning. I really liked the guitar sound that he gave us from the very first moment. So it was a very cool experience to work with Fotis. Because like I said before, we had a very nice communication, having a good time. That's also a good thing to have, when you're recording an album. But I think he knows what he's doing,
Mm-hmm. So when it came to your guitar sound, was it 100% up to Fotis to come up with the gear and the signal chain, or did you actually have preferences that you communicated with him?
It was Fotis giving me the cable, putting on the guitar, and I'm playing some chords, and that's it. It's also about the playing, of course. You need to play,
of course.
But it was Fotis doing all that routing thing. I'm not too good about all that technical side of things. I just want to have a good sound, and as long as I have a good sound, I play my parts. That's it,
That's amazing, man.
It's both situations, actually. You need to have somebody that knows what he's doing, give you a good signal, and then you need to deliver your parts. That's it.
That's amazing because most guitar players, as far as I understand, based on discussions I had with other people, they're a pain in the ass to deal with because they go like, no, I have this amp of mine and this cab of mine, and I want an SM57 or whatever.
And guitar players are notorious for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It took 5 minutes. 5 minutes to fix the sound. 5 minutes, not more. Minutes. So you give me the cable, I plug, I play. And we start recording. That's it. No more discussions about this. You need to play. I think the more things you need to focus is the guitar, the actual play. Mm-hmm. How you play, how clean you play, how you play this part. It's about the playing, not more about like we said before, about the gear. Gear is a good thing to have, of course, but it's about the delivery, man. You are also a producer of your own stuff because you are producing your stuff by yourself, playing it. So we need to focus more on that part. I think as musicians, on the playing part and how good we are playing something, how clean, how accurate, how on time, all that stuff. This is what 100%. Matters in a recording. And as long as you have that down, then for the producer, it's a easy thing to. You make actually his work easier when you know your parts and know what you're doing and playing it on time and all that stuff, that you need to have down anyways, Mm-hmm. Because a producer is not a magician. He doesn't, he can make you play better. You need to play good in order for him to get that, get that sound and mix it somehow and make it sound good. It's, all the source is coming from you, from the musician.
Exactly.
All the delivery.
No, absolutely.
I think so.
But still, as a guitar player, do you have like a personal preference of an amp or, I don't know, a pedal or anything?
I like angles are amazing. I have here my Fireball 60 watts, an old one, amazing amp. That's all you need, some tubes, some good signal, a nice distortion. That's it, And then you need to deliver some good ideas. That's it,
No, 100%.
And playing clean. I think playing clean is the most important thing. And musicians should understand. Doesn't matter what you play. You need to play it clean and deliver it in a most cleanest and way, I guess.
So on average, how many takes would you say it takes you to record one song, at least for the rhythm guitars? Because the solo, I guess, is a different beast. But let's focus first on the rhythm guitars. What's the average routine, I guess, time and approach that you use for that?
In that comes also Fotis with his amazing editing skills. He catch the part that you play good. But of course, with rhythm guitars can be challenging sometimes because we're recording 4 guitars.
So you
So
quad
two
track
on
it. Nice.
Exactly. So two on the left and two on the right. And actually, on the last album was two. I am on the two left, and Magnus, the guitar player, is on the two right guitar. So we first actually was amazed, like how it's possible for us to play on the grid. Like he was kind of, he couldn't believe it because he wanted me to record only the rhythm guitars, because it's always better when one guitarist plays the rhythm. But we managed to, with his amazing editing skills, to make it pretty fast. Actually, it didn't took so much time, for us to record the rhythm guitars. I was also really well prepared from before. I was playing the songs all the time, so it's about that, because the studio is not the place that you learn in the song; it's the place that you deliver the song. So some people, they confuse that, like, the studio, I'm gonna learn the song. No, you need to be ready. That's it. You need to be ready to deliver your parts.
No,
Especially when you're paying for that studio time. Yeah.
So exactly, because it's time. Is essential for a studio. You need to be ready 100% before you enter the studio.
Yeah, you'll only be paying for rehearsing in there. Yeah.
Some people, they confuse that with rehearsing. No. You need to. If you don't want to spend more money, you need to be ready. 100% before you enter the studio. And also, if you don't want to make your producer's life miserable, you need to be ready, because that takes a lot of editing then. But I remember we actually recorded long parts without editing, like long riffs. Because some people will record record too many edits, but for me, I think it was long parts, like we play one big verse and then go to the next one. That's how I record, actually. I like to keep it a live feeling most of the time, like we're playing the drums and try to be like I'm thinking about playing live. So I try to have this kind of mentality when I'm recording.
I guess it feels more organic this way, right? It's more natural, I guess, in a way.
It is, and it's a little bit more difficult when you want to record another guitar on top. And that's the difficult part, to be precise. But I think we made it happen. We tried our best, and we tried our best anyways. So
No, it sounds massive. I mean, it sounds flawless and massive. So there's no doubt about it. You guys obviously killed it there. So.
Trust your eyes, or is it all in your mind? Browse when it's cold, confined and constrained.
And what about the vocals? I mean, Konstantinos, I believe that's the first album he's singing with you guys, right?
That's his first album, and I think he did a really great job. Thanks to him, of course, we helped us with some German tour shows we had just before the album comes, and that was his way to enter the band. And he did a really good job, even though he didn't have a long time to study the songs. But he also writes some lyrics along with our bass player Franco, and I think he did a really great job. I really like his vocals, and I can't wait now for the next one. Now the forthcoming album. That now he's gonna have more time to actually rehearse his parts and think about them, all that stuff. So he can have a more cohesive vocal performance next time, I think.
Nice. No, yeah, the delivery was definitely super powerful.
He's a great vocalist. He's really great.
To me, it felt like he was with the band forever. You know what I mean? Like it's like the chemistry based on the material I've seen. The music videos and of course the album itself. It's like you guys have the chemistry. At least that's how it feels on the outside, right? So yeah, it definitely. I feel like you have a very good match there. I feel like the latest release. I agree with people that as far as production goes, probably you guys topped it off. But as far as the musicality goes, I feel like you've always been up there, man. So I feel like, from the first album till now, you have consistently been delivering top-notch melodic death metal, which, as I said, melodic death metal, for me at least, is one of those genres that has evolved, and not always perhaps in the most positive of ways, and yet bands like Night Rage keep it consistent with the classic formula, but in a modern production quality of sound, if that makes sense. So for people like me, at least, I truly appreciate that.
Thank you for your nice words, and I agree about what you said. Like we try to keep it metal, at least. We're not ashamed to call ourselves a metal band. We're a metal band, and we're gonna stay a metal band. So we try to not forgetting where we're coming from and our roots, and try to always, like I said, to write a good song, a good melody. Something that people can grab on, something that people can remember, and going back again. So that's the most challenging part for me is the songwriting. To be able to write good songs. It's not always easy.
No, I bet I can imagine. It's one thing writing good songs and producing them, but then of course you also have to play them live. And with that, I would like to ask you, is there any chance we can see you guys at least here in Florida anytime soon?
We would love to, man, because for me, United States is an amazing place to play. We've been there before, and we can't wait. We just need an invitation, somebody to call us. We have actually a booker in America right now, Continental Touring, but it's kind of hard. Even now, I think now it's getting harder and harder with all these changes in the music industry, and everything is more expensive now. It costs a lot of money for a band. Imagine from Europe to come to America with all these visas and flights, and you need to calculate everything. But it's not impossible. I think we would love to come back. We played in Florida before, back in the day. So it's always a nice. It's a huge territory, of course. You need to play 2, 3, 4 different tours to be able to go through different places. But it's always a great experience for us to come to America and play for you guys. So we can wait for maybe the next album, the next invitation to come and play some shows in America and also in Canada, which will actually have a good fan base for a reason. I don't know why, but in Canada, there's people waiting always for us and always writing, when are you coming? When are you coming? So hopefully very, very soon.
North American tour.
North America.
Yeah, man, that would be amazing. I love America, always having a good time playing there.
I feel in Florida, you guys would definitely have a good audience because, it's Florida, it's the birthplace of death metal.
For sure. Amazing people, too. Very nice, kind people in America, I remember we had always a good time playing there.
Can we expect from Nitrates in the immediate future as far as touring goes?
Touring, yes. We'll have some forthcoming shows now in Europe in March 2026. We're working on that. Actually, there's a festival in Germany this September. We're doing a festival. And but our main focus right now is to write new songs. Mm-hmm. And of course, like I said before, we're looking for a new label and we want to present some new songs. We're going to record probably this summer and find a new label, a new deal, and, moving forward to that and see what happens,
What would you say is the state of the Greek metal scene nowadays?
It's much better than it used to be, I think. Of course, there's a lot of things that needs to evolve and getting better, but it's a huge change. Of course, the internet helps with that. There's more newer bands coming out. All the older bands getting bigger and they're more professional. It's a growing scene, I think, very promising actually, because there's actually a lot of interest. There's a lot of different bands, newer bands that are playing right now. So it looks promising, to be honest.
I know that you have also worked with some other classic melodic death metal legends like Mikael Stanne, Jesper Strömblad. Would you care to share some thoughts on the experiences you had playing with those guys?
Yeah, for me it was a dream come true. Maybe, maybe I never had this dream that I would play with these guys. Probably not. But it was an amazing experience. Of course, don't forget Thomas Lindberg.
Thomas Lindberg as well, absolutely.
The singer that we had in the first two albums. I never thought this is gonna happen, because for me at the Gates back then were somewhat like gods or something, So actually, I met the guy by accident in the street, by luck, walking in the street, and we met. I knew him from the Exhumation recordings a little bit earlier. We met, and he knew me, and he asked me, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I moved here, man. I just want to record this first album. This is the only thing I want to do in my life." So he was really, curious, and he asked me about the band and all that stuff. And then I asked him to come to the studio, listen to the songs, and he was really hooked. And he told me, "Yeah, I'm gonna do this, man. I'm gonna be sing to your album and write lyrics." And yeah, I didn't expect that. That for me was a shock. Like, wow. But some things that happen in life because you really, when you really, wanting them, or you really doing everything about them. So things can happen, if you are really looking for the best, for your band. So that I needed to move to Sweden in order to find Thomas and recording studio fragment and all that stuff. But everything happened for a reason, probably, So I was really. It was a great experience, of course, to work with these guys, amazing musicians, and for me it's an honor to even say that, that I used to play with Thomas and these great musicians, that they actually built the melodic death metal sound as we know it today. This is the guys that this is the godfathers actually of that sound. So for me to be able to say that I even play with them, it's an honor, still today.
No, of course. No, that's it's great because you in your own right are up there, at least as far as I understand, man. So it's very humbling to be able to hear someone of your caliber speak like that, for fellow musicians. So that speaks, in my opinion, speaks tremendous volumes about your dedication to the craft, right? And of course your point of view as far as things in life are concerned.
I was actually wondering, because we're talking about the heavy hitters you're playing with, if you had a choice to pick any guitar player, alive or dead, who would you meet? And the second part of the question would be, would you, would you play a song with them? Would you choose a jam session, or would you choose to have a beer with them and you could ask them anything you want?
I would definitely choose Dimebag, and if I can add to that, Cliff Barton. I know they're both dead, unfortunately. Man, I would love to meet these guys and not play with them actually, but talk to them, asking all the questions. Is there? I would be like a pain in the ass, to them, like asking all the questions about the music, about the lifestyle, about everything. So. This is the two guys I will always, looking up to, Dimebag and Cliff Barton, the late Cliff Barton. What an amazing musician, man!
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Still to this day, I can't believe this guy existed. We should be very actually grateful that we get to listen to that guy's music and appreciate it, And still enjoy what they did so far, in the short-term life they have. Unfortunately,
No, Cliff was he was an amazing bass player. I would personally love to meet him too. Just seeing the bass playing he brought to Metallica, being a bass player myself, it's so unique. I think most people don't realize how unique his bass playing was to that genre too. It was really something else, and he had a improvisation to him too that was really cool as a bass player.
Yeah, I would actually be ashamed to try to play in front of them, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's better to get a beer or something, talk about the music and all that stuff, You know, it's great, great musicians, man. So inspiring. Still to this day, you listen to their stuff and you're getting hooked immediately. You know, from the first two notes, you know who they are. You know, it's like that's crazy. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. What would you like to add to this overall, Marius?
I just wanted to thank you guys for the invitation. It means a lot to me personally. I never take it for granted that this is gonna happen. For me, it's always a great thing when people are interested in our music and they want to listen to our opinions about music, about our history, and about everything. Thanks a lot about that. And we're looking forward. Hope we are coming back to Florida and America, of course, playing shows and meet you guys in person, having a good time. So I'm looking forward to that. And thank you very much for the interest and passion you have about metal in general, music, and of course Nitrates and today's interview. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for coming on. This has been great.
No, it's been a true honor for us, and especially for me being from the same hometown as you are. It's an extra, I guess, emotional moment for me. So
thank you very much.